Welcome to Barry Child's podcast, episode 5, Zoom edition. This is my very first go at the Zoom podcast. As my first 4 videos were in my studio. Now I'm in my living room. My guest today is New Zealand's #1 long-term prospect in the game of bowls for gold medals and world champs and Commonwealth games going into the future. I'd like to introduce to you a teen on the wires with numerous club titles, centre titles. He's played for his province in big events. Just recently won the National Pairs Championship in Christchurch. Welcome to the podcast today, Seamus Curtin. How are you going, brother?
Good, man. Thanks for inviting me, mate.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, my first question for you today, going back to your younger years, can you just tell me a little bit about where you grew up, some of your memories of your early childhood, and what the young Seamus was like?
Where do I start? I grew up in Plummeton, Wellington. Basically been here my whole life. I'm still here. Went to Plummeton School just down the road, so I'd walk down, walk home. Had sport in my life, my whole life. Played heaps of different sports. Bowls eventually was the one I pursued later on, but just loved getting out there and playing with mates, and just having fun playing sport. From there, I went to Altair College, just outside of Porirua, and grew up there with my mates. Played sport again. Ended up getting head boy at the end of my last year, and just enjoyed school while playing sport and having time with my mates. Then after that, I've gone to uni, studying psychology, and still playing my bowls, mate, and traveling here and there. So been to Australia a few times and a few other countries around the world. So it's been good.
Okay, so since you said you played a lot of sports early on, did you have any aspirations to be like an All Black or any other, like a basketball player or star? Like, was any of those?
Yeah, I do remember my parents told me this. I was watching the All Blacks, and I was just on the ground crawling around, or I think I was 4 years old or something, and I just yelled out. I said, "I want to play for New Zealand, Mum." And I obviously didn't really know what sport that was going to be, but just kept it broad. And to have a sport that I love now and pursue and actually make that a reality has been pretty cool. So I went through heaps of different sports. I mean, I played basketball, rugby, cricket, bit of indoor bowls. I think that's all of them. But bowls was the one that came out.
Right. So how did you get started in outdoor lawn bowls? I heard your mother had a big influence on me.
Yeah, my mum's had a big influence on my life, to be fair, and my mum and dad were playing bowls, so I was dragged down when I was three to the bowling club, just running around the sides while mum and dad play. Me and my mates would run around the green, and then when they were inside having a beer, we'd go outside and chuck the ball around, chuck a tennis ball, play cricket, build some huts on top of the hills around the bowling green. And I guess it's just being down at the club so often. I said to Mum, no, I don't want to play that game. That game's for older people. And then I got to 10, and I decided, why not? I'll just give it a go, and I've never really looked back. And
Nice. So when you started at the age of 10, you had very early success in your first year at a Silverstream Invitational tournament.
Yeah, that was my first tournament outside of Plummeton. So Plummeton was the bowling club that I started at, just down the road from my place, and just went along with my parents. and was able to get a good result and come away with the dub, I guess, which is a pretty surreal feeling for the first year. So yeah, I guess it sort of encouraged me to go that extra bit in the sport, knowing that I can get some results. And yeah.
Did you remember what you spent the $50 voucher on? You won a foot bag too, from what I mean.
Yeah, good question. I don't actually know. I remember them bringing the gears out. I had got like a little shield, got a little Nike bag, which was I still have it actually. Oh, and I think the bag was the thing I was most proud of. And then I can't even remember what I spent the $50 on. Probably went in my piggy bank. So.
All right, yeah, I do have another question for you. You got interviewed at this time, and they talked about. You talked about your forehand was your strength. Now, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if it's still the same now, or has it changed?
I'd say my backhand's a strength now, to be honest. Backhand I find a little bit easier, but I guess you've got to be able to play both hands. And yeah, but if I had a preference, probably the backhand.
No, just interesting. I just saw that because most people with the backhand.
Yeah, that's it.
Nice. So only a couple of years later, your bowling career was you went to your first national event.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
Yeah, that was an interesting one actually. That was up in Taranaki. Went up with mum and dad again, and play with my dad in the pairs.
Nice.
That was really cool actually. But we didn't get very good results. I don't think we won a game. But it was just cool going up and being in the atmosphere of what it could be like. And then played in the singles, and I think it was four games. I think 3 out of 4 qualified, and I lost my first 2, so I couldn't qualify. And I went out for my 3rd game, and I played a guy from Kaikoura, and yeah, I ended up winning the game. And the buzz I felt from going to the nationals at actually winning a game was unreal. So it was really cool.
Can you tell me about your first club title? I don't know when that happened for you, but
first club title. Oof.
Maybe like your first junior and then the senior one too.
My first junior title was with Bradley Down, another young one of my mates. Yeah, we would have been third year of playing, and we just enjoyed our time. I was with my mates. We like when I joined, I had 2 good mates that I joined with, and they both joined at Plimpton. So even though we were joining to play the sport, we also had 2 really good friends around us to really encourage us. And later on, sort of got into more of who's the better one, which was a really cool competition between all of us 3, and we'd all want to go a little bit better than each other. And so I guess winning that junior title with Bradley was fun, but also a good feeling when we were 13 or 14, I think. So yeah.
And then your first senior title.
Senior title, I won that over in Stokes Valley actually. So I played 5 years at Plimpton, and then I went to Stokes Valley, and that was more of a move for competition, but also club culture. And Stokes Valley seemed to have a very good club culture. Not that Plimpton didn't. It's just Stokes Valley had the competition, but also had the club culture. So that was really cool, and moved over there. Really enjoyed the experience. And I think my first title might have been the singles actually. The club singles. which was a great feeling. I mean, it wasn't the easiest of draws either. I had to play Blake Signal and Yuan Wong, who have both played for
Good players.
New Zealand. So just that, yeah, it was a good win. Very happy.
Oh, you also had early success at centre level in the peers.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, that was with Lockie Gordon. So it was another young guy. I think I was 13. I think. So I actually won my senior title before my first club title, other than junior.
Yeah.
So we entered under the Jackals, which was was initiated by a guy in Wellington who wanted young people to play together. And we weren't part of the same club. So we were like, okay, if we go under the Jackals, we can play together. So played together, and we got through the first day and got through the second day and got to the finals day. And I guess we had some really close games along the way, which could have easily gone either way. And I think because we had those close games that we just got through, we were just like, we're happy to be here. Like, it could have easily not been here because of the close results that we had along the way. So I guess going out with that freedom of, let's just do it. Let's be lucky to be here. Let's just keep going and have some fun. So yeah, ended up getting our first title, centre pairs.
So you had early success. Who were some of your coaches early on?
Yeah, I've had quite a few coaches along the way. My early on coaches, mum has always been a life coach, but also a bowls coach. She's done coaching for a long time at the colleges and has been a Bowls New Zealand coach also. And I had Ian Monaghan. He was from the Wairapa, so we'd go over to the Wairapa and have a couple of hours on the green and go to the cafe and have a coffee and just talk about plans and goals and what I wanted to achieve and video my delivery and just the whole package deal of how am I going to achieve these goals that I'm setting. So it's cool.
Can you give me maybe some advice that you got from your mum and also your second coach on something that you may be still doing now?
Mum advice would probably be, I mean, I get a lot of advice from her, not just from Bowls. Yeah, well, that's right. But it'll probably be just to make sure life is set before going to events and making sure that everything's ticked off, making sure in a good mindset. She's all about the mindset and being comfortable in who you are, and she's installed that in me. So just making sure before you go to an event, just to make sure everything's sorted, make sure everything's ticked off, make sure you've done the vacuuming, make sure you've made your bed, make sure you got up in the morning and you're in a good routine. That's probably the main advice Mum gives me. She gives me a lot, like I say, but yeah, that's one thing that I'll always have and always try to do for all my events.
Now let's go back to bowls.
Yeah.
You really took off at the national singles in Browns Bay. Can you tell me a bit about that time?
Yeah. I remember qualifying. I remember having both Finbar and Bradley, my two mates that we started off with, being there for me. And I think I won the first post-section game and then lost the second one. So I guess qualifying for that one was really cool. And just going to that knockout stages of getting in that mindset that if I lose, I'm gone. Yeah. And having, I mean, just qualifying at that stage was awesome. And meeting a lot of new people up in Auckland. There was quite a few entries at that one. So meeting the people and socializing with the other young ones up there, going to New Year's Eve parties. And it was just really cool getting to know the people and like I say, after I qualified, that was the main thing, get qualifying, and then losing my second round of post-section, I think, was just that mindset of, if I lose, I'm gone. So yeah.
At the time, did you have any like New Zealand selectors talking to you?
No, I mean they did have the not. No, I probably didn't at that stage. We had the New Zealand coach program they used to run with the youth, so they'd have under 25 camps all around New Zealand. So they go to Wellington, Auckland, Christchurch, and Eden, and stuff like that, and they'd have just workshops for young people. So I guess they'd seen me at those camps because I'd show up to those ones in Wellington, and yeah, I think they'd seen me, but they hadn't really seen the potential. Well, I mean, they might have, but
No, because the next segue is into Commonwealth Games youth, because that was
yeah,
just a year or so later. So I was just wondering how you got selected for that event.
I guess it was just results at nationals, and also a few good results in Wellington. Yeah. I mean, it was under 18. I think we had played in the under 18 Kitty Hawks back then, when Kitty Hawks used to be a thing. So just getting consistent results. I didn't win the Kitty Hawks, but I was qualifying, and I was getting good results for my age in that level. So I guess the selectors would have been there, so they would have been noticing. And then when they did the selections, they must have seen something, and going to that Commonwealth Games, Youth Com Games, was sick.
So how was like the build up to that with like schoolwork and everything and training?
Yeah, I mean, schoolwork was, I guess that was when I was year 10, I think. I was going down to the green a lot, but it always worked around after school, and once I'd done my training, then I'd focus on my homework and that kind of stuff. So I was training at least 5 times a week, with bowls on the weekend. So just managing the time after school and making sure my assessments were in and the homework was done, was the main thing around my trainings. So I was able to fit it in a good schedule with good planning, which is another thing Mum has installed in me, is planning things right and making sure I follow those to ensure I can do the things I love.
How was the practice on the croquet greens? Because it was a lot slower where you were going to. It was a lot slower greens.
Yeah. I mean, we had the Pliverton croquet green just down the road from us, so it was easy access to go down, and they were really good about it. So it wasn't far down. We could actually see the croquet green from our house, so there wasn't really any excuse to not go out. So I guess get home, get the bowls ready, go down to the croquet, and it was just getting used to that delivery of changing the timing points, the backswing, and a big thing, probably the mindset, of always trying to push through the head and reaching the head. Like in New Zealand, it's a lot freer. So if you're just a bit shorter, it actually does run on. Over there, you're a bit short, and it's not good at all. So that adjustment mentally was tricky. It took a while, but the long preparation and the dedication onto the green really helped with the mindset. Delivery, I had good coaches around me. I had Evan Roberts, who was designated our coach. I had Mum always supporting me down there. Had a few Sharon Sims and Blake Signal came over a couple of times to just share their knowledge on what you got to expect over there. So I guess the build up with the people around me was very good, which set me in good stead for going over there.
I see. Had you been on a plane much before you left to go there? Had you been on when you get into
Yeah, I actually had been on a plane a couple of times, a couple of long trips. So I've been to Canada and England and France and a few different places.
Oh, nice.
So didn't mean this one was a bit different. I mean, in a plane full of athletes
Yeah.
sitting next to boxers and sitting next to archers, and just that environment of who are these people, and I want to know your story, and all these dedicated people to their sport was pretty inspiring.
So how was when you arrived there? How was the feeling going? Like with accommodation and all that sort of.
Yeah, it was really cool. We had a little hotel. Wasn't like an athlete's village like the real com games, or not the real com games, but the not youth games. And it was our team, and it was half of the English team at the accommodation. So we had a room with two weightlifters. So two weightlifters and a bowler. It was quite cool. They're all buff and strong, and I think one of them ended up winning gold medal, and the other guy placed pretty high. So yeah, I guess it was cool being in that environment and staying with athletes that have similar dedication but to completely different sort of sports, because bowls is quite different to a lot of them.
Did you get to have like much fun time outside of preparation for everything?
We made sure we had a bit of fun when it was okay to do so.
Yeah.
We had a little party. It was for the whole Commonwealth Youth Com Games. They had this big field. They had music blasting, and I think it was day before opening ceremony, just to basically settle everybody. And it was big. It was glow sticks. Obviously, we couldn't drink then.
Yeah.
So it was glow sticks and fizzy drinks and on this big thing. So with big blasting music. So it was cool. And I guess before that, it was training. It was socializing to be in a comfortable environment, and yeah, having real nice food.
What was some of your favorite food?
Well, couldn't pick the food that I really liked, but I didn't really like taro. So I remember getting a lunch at one of the times, and there was a big chunk of taro. I wasn't very happy.
Nice. And so you get to the first game and you play against England. How did that game go?
I do remember a bit of that game. He was a good player, and I was quite happy with that win actually. That win, because England plays on similar slow stuff to Samoa, so getting the win over him on similar conditions that he's used to was a really good start. I think I got him 21-15, or I think it was quite close. I don't think it was he might have been 17 or something. Definitely wasn't a blowout. So getting over that and getting started on a winning roll was exactly what I needed, especially against somebody who you could tell could play, but I think just he needed to warm up a little bit, and I was able to get him at the right stage first game. So yeah.
And how did the rest of the tournament go for you? Any memorable moments leading towards the?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of tournaments is sort of like a blur.
Yeah.
But I guess the main thing was qualifying, and I was able to qualify quite not comfortably, but quite well. And then quarterfinal, it was good. I think I won. I can't remember what I won, to be honest, but
No, it's all right. It's all good.
yeah. And the semi-final was probably my proudest part. It was a grind that whole game, and it was a really good game. And I guess I read the game, and I could tell he didn't really like his long ends. And he was struggling getting the line, and he couldn't get the weight. And so I decided, I think it was 19-17 up or something, or 19-18 up. He was, and I decided to chuck the jack long. And I just played a couple of good ones, played another third good one, so I was holding the game, and he wasn't able to get inside of that. So coming back with picking up that number to really put me into a guaranteed medal and a guaranteed chance at gold was special, especially just reading the game and understanding the position of the game to make that move and capitalize on it, I guess. So yeah, it was cool.
And obviously playing in the Commonwealth Games, youth final would have been big for you.
Yeah, it was. Played against Australia, Jono Davis. He's class. He really was class then for his age. I think he's 1 year younger than me. But he was class in the final. I wouldn't say I played bad. I would have liked to play better to test him a little bit. But we'll be back and we'll get him next time. So finishing second and coming home with a medal was great. But I'm not don't want another silver.
Then you played the mixed pairs event with Ashley Defco.
Yes.
And it looked like he went out to a flyer in the qualifying. He's really humming.
Yeah. We seemed to play really well together. And we got to the semi-finals and it just didn't work. Things weren't going right within our group, and we weren't able to get out of that state of just trying to play better and get through it. I mean, with Ashley winning gold in the singles and me winning silver, you'd expect us to go a little bit better. Well, we finished fourth, just out of the medals, but we really should have gone better. Just didn't work. The semi-final and then the third and fourth playoff, we didn't click at that time, and probably maybe a bit of the pressure of after winning a medal, and just having that expectation on us, maybe put a bit of pressure on ourselves, and we weren't able to get out of that. But we had a good run, and it was just a shame that pressure or the moment that we were in just didn't work out for us.
Can you just describe to the people out there how Ashley is like to play with and as a bowler herself?
Yeah, she's great. She's a bundle of fun. And if we continued to play like we did in qualifying, we would have definitely made the final and would have tested Australia for sure. But she's an awesome person. She's a bundle of fun, like I say. Her laugh's infectious, so it's always good to bring you down to earth and just stay on a neutral playing. So yeah, no, it was a great experience playing with her. It's just a shame that pressure from the singles got to us a little bit, I think.
So what did you take out of that experience at the Commonwealth Games that you maybe still using today? Was there anything you remember?
I think the main thing is understanding what other athletes put into their sports, and how if I want to get to the top and go to the real Commonwealth Games, I've got to put in that effort. And seeing it on a smaller, I guess, platform with being youth com games really puts big drive. It gives me a lot of drive to go for the real com games, which is still bugging at me, and I still really want to get there. But seeing the athletes there and being on that podium, not having the gold around my neck, that's probably the main drive to get there. Not only get there, but put that gold around my neck.
Now, shortly after the Commonwealth Games, your secondary school's career really lifts off with the under 18 and under 21 singles, winning 3 years in a row, 2016, 2017, 2018. What made you such a good, well, still now, such a good singles player?
I have had quite a few results in singles. I do enjoy singles. It gives you more bowls to make a stand on what you for the result, but also it's only on you. It's only on one person on yourself. So you can only be annoyed at yourself. You can't be blaming anyone else, or they can't be blaming
you got
you.
nowhere to hide, you know. So
No, you got nowhere to hide. So um, just that authority on the game, and this is for me, and I want to win it. It's quite cool. And that's why I probably like singles, and probably why I've had a few good results on it, because I'm doing it for me and I want to win. I don't want to let you beat me.
what memories do you have from those events? The 18 singles.
Um, yeah, I guess after the Commonwealth Games, Youth Commonwealth Games, I guess I sort of had a target on my shoulder ever since, with the under 18s and under 21s, because all the youth want to beat the other youth. It's just like that. Everyone wants to be better, and I definitely felt that pressure. So I guess that the memories that I got from that was feeling the pressure from other people, that they want to easily be better than you now that you've got that higher experience level from the Youth Com Games, and that expectation to win, and just being around other players with their aspirations, and still having, it's almost like you got to lift your game even further because they've got another reason to beat you. So winning three in a row was pretty special. Three different places: Christchurch, Auckland, and Wellington. Or Wellington was under 21s. So yeah, it was cool.
Nice. New Zealand under 18 selection. How did you have many games in that area?
Yep, I think that were played in 4 Trans Tasmans, under 18s and under 25s. So we'd be mixed up with a couple of under 25s and a couple of under 18s. And yeah, we went to Australia a few times and played one in New Zealand. And it was always, that experience in Australia was probably the eye opener. Just learning how they play the game and on their greens, and they're just unreal on their greens. And you've really got to step your game up to have a chance against playing them. And I don't think we won a test series over the 4 that I played in. But we got close in many games, but they were definitely more consistent and they just played better. So the biggest thing was just that experience of playing over there and understanding that you can play a good bowl, but you've got to expect to play a good bowl with your next one as well. You can't just be looking at the one you just played, because it's going to change. And it's evident over there in Australia. Happens all the time. You got to play a good one, and then a good one, and then a good one, and then you're going to win an end. You're not going to get away with one good one where you can in New Zealand. Sometimes you can play one good one, and sometimes that's good enough for the game, or for the end. Sorry. So shifting that mindset to you got to play 3 good ones in a row to win an end was the experience I got from that, and being around other youth in New Zealand was really fun in the Gold Coast.
So you were just saying before that you were looking to go to the next level. Did you seek out a coach or anything to improve your game, or did it just?
Yeah, so it was still mum. Mum's always been around, and with joining the Bowl New Zealand team, now we get signed a coach. So mum's always been there. Ian Monaghan was there for a few years, and then mum's basically taken over from that. Had Sharon Sims help me here and there, and yeah, my Bowl New Zealand coach Evan Roberts has always been there through obviously Com Games, but he's also been in contact with his athletes quite often. So I'm very grateful for the big support network I have around me, and I can't do it without them. So I'm very lucky.
2018 was a real big year for you, winning the under 21 singles. Went on to third at the national singles, and also third equal at the Australian Open. So this is obviously maybe a defining year for you. That really got you going.
Yeah, that was my year. My life was in a good state, good period, and I guess the first one was the nationals down in Dunedin, and it was just we had a really good team, had a good culture, and we made the fours final. Lost to the dream team of Ellie Forsyth, Shannon, Gary Lawson, and Justin Goodwin. And then lost the semi-final of the singles to Andrew Kelly, actually. And the pairs lost to Peter Ballas in the quarterfinal. So I guess that was an awesome nationals. I was very, very happy with the nationals. Would have been nice to go that extra mile. But that definitely was a good memory. There's a few people I beat along the way, which really I was proud of. So, yeah.
What about some of the players you played against? Was there anyone you learned anything from? Just the way they played the game?
At the Nationals or the Australian Open?
Oh, I both.
Yeah. Australian Open, I had a few quite a good players that I played against, like the likes of Ben Twist, Scotty Thalborn, both players that have played for Australia, and then to be knocked out by Ryan Bester in the semi-final. Just to always be on your toes, eh? Like Ryan Bester in the semi-final, I felt like I played a really good game. But just every time I felt like I had a really good end and I could relax, something would change, especially with Ryan Bester with his drive. So just being on my toes and knowing that I need to play a good one every single bowl I do. There's no time to relax. There's no time to think at the end settled up, because these guys can play freakish shots. So just keeping that mindset on every bowl needs to be good. If it's not good, I got to make it up for it for the next one. So yeah, all those experience against those good players, you just learn little things of how they play. And obviously Ryan Bester was definitely a drive or draw. He'd drive a lot in our game, actually. And I just caught a day when he was hitting, and adapting to that and making sure my bowls were at the back when I miss, rather than missing short, making sure my bowls are over if I miss. So just those little things you learn from different players is you can transfer to different games and different situations. So yeah.
You had a very good singles record that year. Yeah, something like 31 wins out of, and you had a couple of losses in a short period of time.
Yeah. That was special. I think I had 31, and then I lost a game, and then I might have lost one a couple of games later. But I guess within those 31 wins, there was a special one for I think it was the in-centre, where Wellington won it that year. So being a part of that team was incredible. It's sort of like my first national silver title. And I was a singles player, so I felt a lot of weight on my shoulders, because you're winning for the team, but you're also winning for yourself. So I went through that unbeaten, which was very special, playing against some pretty good players, and to go and contribute to a team's win from my singles victories was special. It was special for the team and special for me.
Then you got selected for the Hong Kong International Classic. How was that event?
Well, we didn't actually play in that event.
Oh, okay.
Got selected for that, and there was the Hong Kong riots at the time, and they decided to cancel the event, which was a real bugger, really. I was really looking forward to that event. Another slow green country. So just wasn't meant to be, and hopefully I can go there in the future.
Um, was there any other big events around that time that you had played in, or soon after that?
Yeah, well, that's when I was capped around that time. So I got my Bowls New Zealand cap of 111. Was playing at the BPL in Wellington, and got presented it by Joe and Shannon McElroy, Joey Woods and Shannon McElroy, which was very special. I remember having a lot of friends and family and bowling club members come down and support me. And I think there's a photo somewhere of the big support I have, and they're all in Stokes Valley colours. And it was just amazing. I remember crying that night. It was special, very special to get my number, get my cap, and have that support network around me of basically who I'm doing it for. So that's where I was presented it, and then I went over to Australia to play in the World Cup with Joe Edwards, actually. So that was a completely different pressure of riding a country on my shoulders, but also that was my dream, my childhood dream that I said when I was 4, play for New Zealand, and I got to rock out onto the Warilla Greens over in Sydney with my cap on and be very proud of it, but also know that I had a job to do. So that was incredible. I ended up making to the quarterfinals. Played a few tough opponents like Aaron Tees, Gary Kelly, who was the eventual winner, and then went on to the quarterfinals. You could say, quarterfinals. I think it was. Was that one of those prelim quarterfinals, which I played Jeremy Henry, who'd won the tournament. Don't know how many times the World Cup. I think he's won it 8 times. So going out there with the country on my shoulders and playing against him was incredible. And almost took it to a tiebreaker. You play 2 sets of 9 ends. Jeremy Henry got the first set, and he was 9-7 up or something. And I lost. I had 2, and I lost on a measure, not much out. Which that would have taken it to a tiebreak, and who knows what would have happened. But that experience was great.
And then COVID happened in 2020 and put a spanner in the works for not just our sport, but a lot of sports. How was that time period for you? Like the initial one and then going forward?
The initial one was life-changing. I basically left college and had a year working and playing bowls, and moved to Australia for 3 months for playing in Brisbane. So that was my first year, and it was getting to the end of the end of the year, and I decided I had an offer from Warilla Bowling Club, and a couple of offers from other places around Australia. And I decided, instead of studying that year, okay, I'm going to take one of these offers and go to Australia. So I decided to take the Warilla option, with amazing culture and amazing people. Get Gary Kelly, Aaron Tees, Corey Wedlock, Jeremy Henry. The list goes on there. We're all world champions. So being around those people would have been awesome. So I ended up moving over in February 2020. When COVID 2020, the first initial lockdown, and I think I was there for 3 or 4 weeks. Just moved over, was very excited for the future. Played a few penance games for them, had a few wins. Going to the gym every morning. We had a gym at the bowling club, so I was able to get up in the morning and go to the gym every day, and just creating cultures with the world champions and being around them. And then, like I say, 4 weeks into it, I remember waking up in the morning just had work at the bowling club, and we were getting up and looking at my phone. I'm like, oh, New Zealand's going into lockdown. So I gave my mum a call, my dad and my brother, and made the call to come home. So in the next 24 hours, I came home. So I guess that the COVID did shift my life. Now I'm studying back here in New Zealand, and I guess the plan is to finish my studies. Also, obviously, same goal, same bowls dream, but just a different path rather than being based in Australia, based here, but also creating that base for the future with my studies. So big shift. Could have been over there for years. Could have still been over there.
Yeah.
But COVID thought otherwise.
So fast forward to 2021 National Championship. 2021-22 in Christchurch. You paired up with Andrew Kelly. How did that come all about to play together as a combination?
Yeah, well, I actually have to thank Finbar McGuigan for this. Actually, I remember sitting with him because I saw Shannon was going on his sabbatical, so I had to reassess what I was doing for the Nationals. And I remember talking to him. I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to ask. It was getting late, and he said, "Oh, why don't you ask Andrew Kelly? See what he's doing?" So I thought, "Oh, that's a great idea." So I obviously ended up asking him, and he wasn't playing with anyone, so we said, "Yeah, why not?" So yeah, just came up like that.
So had you ever played with him beforehand? Or was this the first time?
No, I've been to a couple of camps, Bowls New Zealand camps with him, and obviously seen him around and talked to him here and there, but never played with him. So,
and so you start the tournament. How did the qualifying go for you?
yeah, it was good. We didn't have an easy section. A couple of national champions and just some other really good teams, solid teams. So we knew we were out on. We knew we were coming in. We had to play well straight away. We didn't have an easy draw at all to relax and find our game. We had to start off strong to get through most of the games, and we just did enough. We played good. We played solid. We played good at the right times to qualify, and got what we needed to do. We didn't lose a game in the qualifying, so we were going well together, and we complement each other quite well. When I might have had a couple of rough ends, he'd come in and save the day, and he went off for a little bit. I had a few more there which he could play to and change the heads over more often. So yeah, we ended up qualifying. So that was the main goal first off.
Just to go back a little bit, preparation for the event, just for people at home that I wanted to get to the next level. What sort of preparation were you doing?
I think the first preparation was Andrew Kelly got in contact with me, and he said, "I want you to write down what you want to get out of this event, how you see us in the future, what game plans you want to go into the event with." So he sent me a message with all this information of game plan, what I want to get out, and all of the stuff that I sat down and wrote down a list of what I wanted to get out of it. So initially that was a great start. So it gave me a week to write it, and we gave each other a call the next week, and we both laid out what we want to achieve, and obviously winning was the main thing, but just what we want to achieve from the relationship of how we're going to play together and what kind of game plan and tactics to overcome obstacles was cool, just to get into a good understand each other, so we could go in and we knew what we wanted to do and what we wanted to achieve. And then personally, from our chat, we decided on different jack lengths that we were going to go to. So if things were going wrong, we knew what we'd been practicing, and we knew that we could do this well to overcome that hard game that we might encounter at the nationals. So I was out there a month beforehand, getting in 4 or 5 trainings a week, or 3, 4, 5, depending on what was going on that week. So just drills and focusing on those length of jacks. So we were ready for what was to come.
Could you just maybe for the listeners, just a couple of drills that you like to do, like training?
Yeah, the 2 drills I did before the nationals was the 4 jack drill, 4 jacks, and you got to count how many times it takes for the bowl to get within a mat length. If it was good conditions, I might have done a mat width. And each time you build up your score, and you can see sort of patterns on what sort of length you might like, or what kind of, if you like the forehand or backhand, which we cleared before, backhand. So that was a good one. And different, obviously the jacks were spread out, so getting those different lengths was great. But also did the God drill, which is basically the jack. There's a bowl basically touching it at the front, and then a bowl behind it about a foot. And you've got 4 bowls to beat God, because it's a front toucher, basically one a foot behind. And you got 4 bowls to beat God. I think I was able to beat him once. I think I did first to 5 or first to 10 just to finish off my trainings after doing the 4 jack drill. So that was really good, especially for the singles actually, and the pairs. Just knowing if I was encountering other good lead bowls or other, that's what you got to expect when you go to the nationals. You got to expect front toucher, or you got to expect those sort of heads. So seeing that down the other end, and always just getting in that mindset to try beat that, definitely left me in good stead for the singles and also the pairs.
So yeah, just before we get back to the pairs, how was the singles event for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was a bit of a shame to get knocked out in the last 16 to Andrew Curtin, a former world champion. Good game. There was a few times in the game where I probably let off the accelerator, and he got a couple of good results with him playing well, and me just having a couple of off ends. So if you took those ends out of it, I probably should have won it. But last end, I had one just behind, basically a back toucher, and he was able to get it off, and I think he won 21-19. So fair play to him. He played the big bowl. I almost did, but didn't, and he went on to, I think he made the semi-final. So getting to the last 16 was good, but wanted to go further.
You qualified in the pairs. What were some games leading up to the final that you had a few close games there?
Yeah, I mean, we went out to a class Christchurch pair, which played good, and we just played the extra bit better and was able to get the result over them. And then we moved on to the former champions, Jamie Hill and Lance Pascoe. So they're 2 awesome players, and to get over them was great. And I mean, they played a bowl with their last one, which was close. He almost got it to keep them in the game. We ended up winning by 6, but the game probably reflected a bit closer result. It was hard conditions in that. And then we went on to play Sheldon Baggery Howley, him and Oliver, another couple of young ones, other young people. And I think we only just won that one too by 1 or 2. So first day of post section was tough, but also tough results and tough situations. So yeah, we were very grateful to get through that day.
Just in terms of prep at say like at night time before the next day, is there anything you do like religiously or anything?
I make my bed in the morning. Nighttime, I like to go to bed with music on just before I go to bed. Just listen to a couple of songs just to almost center me. And I love music. I listen to music whenever I can, basically. So listening to some songs just to lie down in bed and just listen to, and maybe just stare at the ceiling, really centers me and gets me in a almost like a game mode that it's time to play tomorrow. And also getting my bowls closeout ready on the floor with everything set out, knowing what I'm going out to do, and waking up and seeing that it's game time. So yeah.
Now, how do the next few games go for you in the piece?
Another couple of close ones. Another Christchurch pair we played in the quarterfinal. Experienced. The skip played really well. The lead struggled a little bit. But another close game, another one by three or 4, and getting over them was a great step. Potter played a few, or Andrew Kelly played a really good few ends, which kept us in it, and I was able to complement Potter, and I was quite happy with that game. I thought I had the upper hand on the other lead, so Potter just had to do his thing and work off my bowls and make sure we continued the close winning streak. So we moved on to the semi-final. That was a good lead-off battle with Jesse Russell, another young one. So that was a good leading off battle. We both played pretty well. Both had our good ends, both had our iffy ends. Went to the longer ends, which we found got us better results, and we actually ended up going into an extra end. So yeah, which I was very, very happy with my end. I played a couple of good ones and then moved the jap with my last one, which set up Potter really well. And then Potter went down the other end and he moved the jack again. So it left them in a hard position to get out of. Taylor Horn was the skip and left them in a very hard position to get out of. So very happy with that final end we put on in the extra end just to seal it. So yeah, then moved on to the final. It's good.
It's their final against a real gun team. Gary Lawson and Tony Grattan. What were you thinking going into that game? Did you and Andrew have a talk about what sort of game plan you were going to take into this game? Or?
We've been playing long jack length quite often throughout the tournament, and we basically just said this probably isn't going to work against these two. They're great, obviously. They're very good at the long end, those two. So we just said to each other, we'll just see how the rink plays first. We'll find a length that suits us, and we'll play to that length, and we'll just have some fun. That's what he was saying. Just have some fun. He'd been there a few more times than me, so it was me listening to his advice and his guidance was very comforting going in.
What were you thinking into about halfway through the game and you were down a little bit, but you're still in the game? But did you have a talk at any point during that period to try and?
Yeah, personally, Potter was keeping us in the game. He was playing good. He'd come out with a couple of really good ones, which sort of, if he didn't pull out those bowls, we probably could have been a few more down on the scoreboard. So he kept the scoreboard close. So and then Potter came up and had a chat to me. He said, what do you want to do, mate? This is our time. This is our time to move. We don't want to let this game get out of hand, because it will get out of our hand soon. He said, if we're going to, there was a tricky hand that I was persisting with, and he said, it's better to be tight than wide, and because I kept pushing it out onto the wider line, and it just seemed to be a little bit slower as well, and it wouldn't come back, but every now and then it would, and I kept trusting that. And he just said, okay, mate, just bring your line in. I don't mind if you're a bit narrow, but you're going to be in the area. And I guess that actually really clicked, and I was able to put it down a line that I was comfortable with, which put me back into a state where I could pick the weight, because when you lose your line, you almost lose your weight. So once I had the line, I knew my line. I moved my shoulders a little bit, so I felt my shoulders were too forced. My right shoulder was this way, so it was pushing the bowl out a bit further. So I turned my shoulder a little bit just to encourage myself to take that tighter line, and went on from there and started to feel a bit more consistent, and felt more comfortable with the weight and the line, and got on a bit of a roll and started to win a few ends and just kept clawing back. And I think we scored the next 10 shots unanswered, or 11 shots unanswered. So that talk was great. He centered me, and he got me in a state to think about it. And we were just stoked to get the dub.
So how was the feeling to win
it? It was incredible. Yeah, it was. I honestly don't think it will set in. Hasn't really set in, and I don't think it will for a few years, because I've got a goal to go for, and that's, once I get that goal, then that's when it'll hit. But I just remember going over to Mum straight away and give her a hug from all the journeys and trainings and support she's given me, and just being there for me my whole career. And then obviously went over to Dad, gave him a big hug. The feeling was unreal. It just, especially over a class two players that had been there many times. I think Gary Lawson's got 14 national titles. So to go out and beat a couple of players like them just made it a bit more sweeter.
Nice. Going into that game, like, do you feel any nerves or anything, or are you pretty cool, calm, and collected sort of player?
I definitely was nervous. Might not have tried not to show it in the final, but I definitely was, and I did feel myself when I didn't have a great period in the middle for a few ends. I felt myself drifting, sort of like just drifting through the game, and so having that talk with Potter and shifting that shoulder sort of flipped me back into, this is my time. This is my time to shine, and I'm not going to let this slip away and drift through the game like I might, which I feel like I did for a few ends. And felt a bit of mongrel come out of me. Felt like I could definitely get over top of them. Felt that pride. So having that support from Potter and having that talk was huge.
Just on Potter, on Andrew Kelly, how was it like to play with him?
He was a great player to play with. I guess if you go back to that message he sent me to message and asked me what I want out of it, and obviously it carried through. We both wanted what we wanted, and we both respected what we wanted, and we both wanted to win together. I think that was the main thing. He understood if I had a few rough ends, or the only thing that he wanted to from that was to help me get better, into a better state. And same with him. All I wanted him was to, if he had a few rough ends, let's do this together. So just just that combination of trust, knowing what each other wanted to achieve from it, and going out. We wanted to win. So going out with that passion to win was, it was cool. We respected each other hugely and still do. He's a good man.
Okay, now I'm going to get onto another topic here on youth bowls. Something I'm really passionate about. There was a few new formats of the game, Bowls 3-5 and the UBC, the Ultimate Bowls Championship. How do you think about those games going forward for our sport in terms of trying to get more youth involved?
I think they're great. They're definitely more appealing to the wider range of people. The long format of traditional bowls can get a bit boring, and a lot of people when they say they don't like bowls is because it goes for so long. So having that shorter format is amazing. I mean, I've played in the UBC in Australia and Bowls 3-5 and BPL, so I've had experience on all three of them. And getting the crowd into it, getting the TV, getting the lights, getting the colours, getting the colourful uniforms, it's really like a T20 cricket game. It's shortening the format and keeping the intensity up, because when you have less ends, you've got to take your opportunities more often. So if you see an opportunity to get a number, you've got to take that. Where in traditional bowls, you might see an opportunity early on and you'll be like, now I've got 16 more ends to get that shot, get to pick those numbers up. So having the shorter format does allow you to see the glory shots, the shots that everyone hopes for in a traditional game, but just in a shorter format, which fixes that problem with people not liking the duration of bowls.
Because a lot of secondary school events they run over like shorter game times. Can you see bowls changing to shorter form, like in the traditional side, or are we going to be still traditional for quite a while?
I think world bowls and the high level bowls will always be the traditional. I don't think they can change that. I think it's a tradition, and I think it's a good tradition. I think they need to keep that. I couldn't see that going. But more events like the BPL and like the Bowls 3-5 and the UBC needs to be out there for the youth, for publicity and just getting the sport out there. But I think they still need a time and place for the traditional game, and definitely needs to stay.
So to all the young people out there listening, in terms of taking up lawn bowls, outdoor bowls as a sport, what can you give from your experience and why you think they should give bowls a go?
I mean, like I say, I was young. I was 4 or 5, saying that bowls is for old people. And I know there's a lot of youth out there that will say the same. But
absolutely,
after starting and being in the culture of bowling clubs and learning so many different people and traveling so far and around the country, I think I've been most places around the country and a few places around the world, the experiences and the opportunities are there, and the learning from the older generation is incredible. So there's a lot of pluses, and on top of that, you're competing to win. And it might be a bit longer than other sports, but the intensity is still there in a different way than rugby, and the contact. It's the intensity is there mentally, and that quietness of what are you doing? What are you going to do? Sort of like chess. So the intensity is still there, the competition's still there, and there's definitely the opportunities there, especially when you're with a few mates growing up with it, which I was lucky to have. Which still have them now and still play with them. Have shared so many great memories with them.
I'm awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast today. Um, I just have a few quick fire questions for you to finish off.
Sweet, bro. Yeah, let's do it.
Um, the first one, I thought I talked about it earlier, but um, do you have any superstitions that you need to do like before?
Yeah, superstitions. Oof.
I've got to wear the same hat all the time, or
Yeah, I do have a New Zealand singlet from the Youth Commonwealth Games that I put on underneath my playing top that I have to put on, and if that's not on, it just feels weird. Um, so I put that on just to put that good experience close to my heart, so I go out with pride.
what is the best bowl to buy right now, in your opinion? Like if someone's new to the game and they want a bowl, which one do you
I
recommend?
always support Aero, they're my sponsor, and also I think that they are the best bowls. Probably the best one for New Zealand and Australian conditions would probably be the Optima. Probably the most consistent, well, the most liked line for the conditions and for the greens. There's wider options and there's tighter options, but I played with a few other types of bowls, but Optimas seem to be my favourite, and it seems to be where I've got the most results out of. So I've always stuck with those, and they just feel comfortable in the hand. And yeah.
Just with the bowls, what was the first bowl you played with?
I play with Taylor SRs. So bought those. I think they were size 2s when I was 11. It was the first set I bought. So yeah, but once I went to Aero, I was never looked back.
Who was the best bowler in your mind? You can have a few, one from New Zealand, one from overseas if you want.
Yeah, the best bowler in New Zealand, I'd say Shannon McElroy, obviously current world champion. Just a great player. Play with him, been lucky enough to play with him a few times, and there's been amazing shots that I've seen him play. And the best player in the world, probably common. A lot of people probably say it is Alex Marshall, which I've also had an opportunity to play with him at the UBC, and you can never write him off. Any situation, greens if they're in England, New Zealand, on carpet, he knows how to play on them all, and I think that's what separates him from a lot. He knows different speeds, he knows different lines, and he can adapt to those so quickly with indoor titles, outdoor titles, Commonwealth game titles, and those titles are all around the world. Which there's so much of a range of greens and different speeds and lines, and he seems to get good results on all of them. So that's what I'd say is best bowler.
Who was the next big youth bowler that maybe some people haven't heard about yet?
Ooh.
Or may have heard about, but on the way up.
Yeah, and I'd say Finbar McGuigan, my good mate, and we're on the way there together. Hopefully, I want to be on the New team with him eventually. So, yeah, I reckon he's the next one.
Yep.
But, I mean, we both
I got a good lesson in the centre. Played on the course. Yeah. At Victoria.
Oh,
yeah, on the second ring, he gave us a good lesson in jaw balls.
I know, yeah.
That's good. And just finally, what does the future hold for you in terms of bowls? Where's you're aiming towards in the short term and long term?
Short term is Commonwealth Games. The selections for that's in the next couple of months. So putting in the effort on the croquet greens has been the focus the last couple of weeks after nationals. So I'm just going to keep doing that. My chance don't really mind what my chances are. I'm still going to put in the effort like I'm a guaranteed. So I'm just putting in the most effort I can, And if I get selected, that's great. That's where I want to be. If I don't, I'll just work harder for next time. Long-term goal, I want to be a world champion. Probably quite simple. I know there's a lot of things that needs to go with that, and to get there is a long way. That's my goal, and I want to achieve it. So achieving those smaller goals along the way will only make that goal a little bit closer. And then I guess my life goal is, I've taken a page out of Richie McCaw's book. He wrote down on a napkin with his coach when he went to a CAF one time, and his coach said, "Okay, tell me your goals." And he wrote his goals down. And the coach said, "Well, what's your last goal?" And then Richie said, "Oh, well, I don't know." And the coach was like, "Well, do you want to be great?" So he put down the bottom GAB, and stands for Great All Black. So not only do I want to be a world champion, I want to be a great blackjack, which is my mantra, which I've taken from Richie. Cool. So.
Oh, I just thought of another question. What's some stuff that people may not know about you?
May not know about me.
My secret talents or anything like that?
Any secret talents, to be honest? My main sport has always been there. I study psychology. I look after kids at the moment, before and after school care at Kelly Club. So I really enjoy looking after kids and seeing their happy faces while doing activities. And also I like getting outside, getting out and doing things. Like going for hikes, going for walks, kayak fishing. I do a bit of kayak fishing here and there. Yeah. Anytime I get to hang out with my friends, and I take the opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, buddy. And I hope all well for the future for you with bowls, and really look forward to seeing you progress.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope we can do another one when I get the wheel tunnel.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks, mate. Take care.
Thanks.